No, no. Yeah, I dressed up. I went as a coach. So, yeah, happy Halloween to everyone. But, trust me, our guys, we got them treats in their locker as they went in the locker room. So, they're still kids. So, we made sure they had some chocolate.
Uh, you go back on the road, Coach. Took care of business at home the last couple of weeks. Now you're going on to a
Hmm.
road where, in the past, it's a difficult place to play.
Yeah, I mean every place. I know. We can pick specific. And every place you play, you go on the road, it's going to be tough. Same for opponents that come into Ice Castle. So for us, it's just a road focus, and you got to learn from your past and improve upon what you've learned. We've learned that when you make mistakes on the road, you're never going to get the calls. You got to understand. So you can't compound that with your own mistakes. So for us, the play clean in all phases of football, special teams, offense, and defense, that's got to be a focal point as you go, no matter where you're traveling to.
How pivotal is Saturday's game, knowing you haven't won a road game yet this year and you're fighting for a playoff spot?
Every game's pivotal. I know every game, we look at next one's up the most important, no matter where it is, if it's home or if it's away. The game 2 weeks ago was just as important. The game last weekend was just important. This game is just as important. When you put yourself in a hole, you got to explain to your kids, how did we put ourselves in the hole? It's because, we lost 2 games, by 3 points or less. And now you got to learn how to dig out. And how do you got to dig out? You got to focus on the next game, and the next game's the most important, and you got to win them. And so, no matter who, where, you got to prepare yourself, focus on what you can control. And that's minimizing our mistakes. That's executing offensively, defensively, and special teams, and staying together through the highs and lows. Our league is tough. They're going to find ways to attack you offensively, defensively, and special teams. You got to be a problem solver and learn how to answer those calls. And, those are the things we continue to work. We had a great Tuesday practice and continue to get better.
The passing game the last three games has gone to another level or another step. What do you attribute that to?
What they give us, if it's a game that we need to run and have 200-yard rushers, or we need to rush for 300 yards, the game of football, you're trying, it's like a chess game. Well, what can we do? Not that we always want to try establishing the running game. That comes first. That establishes the physicality of a game. But if, they put guys in the box that, we can't account for, we got to trust that we can push the ball downfield. And, I think Mitch has done a great job of taking care of the football. It starts up front with our offensive line and protection, and then having receivers that you can make plays for you downfield. So, it hasn't been like we're going to go in this game and pass for 400 yards. You kind of got to see how teams play you and make those adjustments and take what they can give you.
From how the offense has been playing just as a whole all season, scoring 30 to 40 points a game, from where it was a couple years ago and even from last year, what did it take for that group to kind of get to this point?
Development, consistency, probably the two things. You got to develop your players. You got to develop an offensive line. You got to develop a quarterback room. You got to develop your receivers, tight ends, running backs. I think the consistency with, Coach Troy, been here since the start, gone through the lean years, where people I know, they saying, man, can you guys throw the football? I always say this, it takes players. That's number one. It takes players, and then finding out what your players can do. As a coach, finding out where can we put our players to be successful. And I go back to, Coach Troy with his quarterback room and play calling, and, Coach Bujnak, our offensive line coach, has been here from the start and really has developed the high school football player. We had one transfer 3 years ago. That was R.J. Johnson, coming in from Duquesne. Otherwise, those are guys that have been in the program, have developed them, work on getting depth. I think, we have depth on both sides of the ball, offense and defensive lines. And those guys have matured and, have now, they're bigger, they're stronger, and be able to run block, pass pro, and, our receivers and quarterbacks are on the same page. And I think the relationship that, Mitch and Bo and Max have with Coach Troy in that quarterback room, they're all on the same page. So it's almost like you have a coach on the field, no matter which one is in the game.
You've spoken about complementary football a lot, how
Mm-hmm.
the offense
Mhm.
affects the defense and vice versa. But when the offense is scoring and moving the ball and you can rely on that,
Mhm.
does that kind of take pressure off the defense and allow the defense to maybe take more chances, be more aggressive and things like that?
No, I think we're always trying to stop the run and affect the quarterback. Those are two main points that we got to get better. And there's games where I've seen it. When a couple of weeks ago when a team came in here and scored three, we're stopping the run and affecting the quarterback. And for us, the complementary football goes both ways. Coming from Coach Tressel, the offense has to take care of the defense too. That third quarter, we got a 31-14 lead. We jump out, we score the first drive. They come back and answer because they're a good football team, and every team in the Missouri Valley is a good football team. Our offense then had three and outs. Can't do that. That's not helping the defense. Those three and out all of a sudden turn into momentum. So for however many points you score, just getting first downs is so important in taking care of your defense. And when you're punting the ball back on those three and outs and three and outs and three and outs, that's where we got to get better as a program. That's where I got to get better as a coach and put our guys that we get those first downs. And, to me, that's the complementary football, that we strive for each week. When the defense does get a stop, are we getting first downs, winning the field position battle, and scoring points?
This team's winless, but I know you don't look at that. How important is it, it's human nature, social media players look at that, but how important is it to stress that, they are 0-8, but they're not?
No stress at all. None at all. Don't read social media. That's the first thing. And don't, listen to Dana. It's the second thing. But, for us, our kids have respect for this league. Every team in this league. Their top players are as good as our top player. And again, things happen. I look back and, gosh, things could have been different here when you're winning on the last play or you're winning by 3 or losing by 3. There's so many things happen in a game, but, our kids have a respect for this league and every opponent in this league. Anybody can beat anybody on a given day. If you go in and make mistakes, and I think Coach Mallory would say the same, he feels good when his offense doesn't make mistakes, controls the ball, gets field position, defense fundamentally sound. They're going to be in every game and have a chance to win it in the fourth quarter. In this league, that's what you strive for each week, and that's the challenge as a coach is each week you get new challenges, and you get a little bit excited to see each week how teams play out offensively, defensively, and special teams. And come Saturday, you got to be a great problem solver because they're going to do something that maybe you haven't repped, maybe you haven't seen. They find a weakness here, a weakness there, and you got to be ready to answer that. And playing in this league, you get tested because there's great football players, there's great programs, there's great coaches from top to the bottom. And I see us all in one clump, and it's who's ever playing the best on that given Saturday that's going to get the win. So that's the Nanette. That's probably Lincoln and the doggy here, with technology now. Yeah, that's Lincoln's crib. So sorry about that.
Injury-wise, you had, Aiden didn't play.
Serrano. And that's where you rely on depth. We're not the only team. Indiana State's finally getting back. They had some guys that were out early in the year, and Dinka is healthy. And shoot, he's one of the best backs in this league. Explosive, can change the game at any given second. Their quarterback's dealing with injury, who's playing. So for us, it's no different than any team, and our goal is that depth that you don't know they're missing. That's what you hope for. That Van Keen was able to play 60 snaps on Saturday and have great snaps. He touches the ball as much as the quarterback does and have great protection, have great run fits. And he's going to learn. His job now is to get better. If Aiden can go, he's questionable right now. He's from Indiana, so this is important for him. And, he's at practice, going to practice this week. But, ultimately, we got to make a good decision on Saturday what's best for him, as much as, I know how bad he just wants to be able to play in his home state.
What have you seen from Indiana State on film?
Oh, fundamentals, tough, hard-nosed. They don't quit. They can run the football. you know, the physicality. They really truly believe in running the football. So it's like anything else. When you're running the football and you're trying to establish the run, you're going to get 0 yards at time. But guess what? You got to keep doing. You got to keep running the football. You got to keep running the football. And when they do that, when we do that, what happens is now you get a seam, and there goes a running back and creates explosives. And, you know, they have great receivers. And the quarterback, you go back to last year's game, a game they should have won, you know, that we fought at the end to win 45-42. They did a great job getting a possession from us on a, you know, little onside kick and, you know, having explosives. Quarterbacks were hitting their athletic receivers. Their running backs were slicing us, you know. So for us, you know, that's what I see in them. Well coached, and they play hard, you know, and they're fighting just like we're fighting to get wins, you know. And in this league, their football players just as good as our football players. They're scholarship football players. They're well coached, great coaching staff, have all the respect. So,
would you ever kind of, you know, in the last couple of years, getting up to this point offensively, would you ever kind of a philosophy or regime change, you know, that kind of led to what you guys have been able to do this year?
no, I think this is what we always wanted to do, you know, and finding the you know, first of all, it's the players, and then finding what fits the players, you know, whether it's the tight ends to what the running backs can do to and it starts with the quarterback. In this league, you know, you better have a guy, a signal caller in this league. And, you know, to see the growth of Mitch Davidson and finding out what he can do. You know, can he manage the game for you? Is there times he's going to hand the ball? There's times he's going to go deep or the short game. You know, we're going to do whatever it takes. And Mitch knows, you know, his goal, his number one stat is a win or a loss. You know, he's fighting for wins. And if that means handing the ball off to our tailbacks, he's going to hand off to our tailbacks. If that means throwing the ball downfield. And to see that it's the offense that you always wanted to, you know, that you picture, you know, that you can throw, you can run, you know. And there's times, I know 2 years ago, you know, they'd put, you know, 9 guys in the box and we couldn't throw the ball downfield. And as coaches, we had to coach better. You know, we had to find ways to do it, had to be a little bit creative. But I've always said this, you know, it's players, you know, players, formations, and plays. And the number one thing there is having very good football players, and we're blessed to have a lot of great football players in that locker room.